What's up, everyone? This is John, and this is a closer look at Anguna, Scourge of the Goblin King. This is a new game coming out for the NES. It's not out quite yet. They are doing a Kickstarter. It is fully funded already. Blew past their goal. I'll put a link below. If it's still going, I really encourage you guys to check it out, support these guys. It's actually published by it's a group called the 6502 Collective. It's a joint venture between Retrotainment Games as well as a company called Soul Goose Productions, and I fell in love with this game. I really wasn't sure what to expect. First off, when I first started playing it, it reminded me a lot of Legend of Zelda, of course. I'm sure that's a huge inspiration, but also reminded me of a game for the NES called Willow by Capcom, and it's a really fun game. It's an adventure game. It's similar to this. Graphically, the game looks great. That's the thing I love about these new games for NES. A lot of people call them homebrew games. I don't really like to use the term homebrew necessarily because it makes it sound like it's a cheap homebrew made from home game. The developer for this, the programmer for this, has been working on new games for classic consoles going back to 2003, and this is the third game in the Anguna series, actually, and the first one was released back for the GBA, the Game Boy Advance. So this guy has a lot of, obviously, experience making new games, and you can tell this, to me, felt like a game that you could buy back in the late 80s, early 90s for the NES, and you would have no idea that it was a small production crew. Which is pretty mind-blowing if you think about it. But the game itself, the story itself, basically starts off, you have to defeat the Goblin King. There are a lot of different screens, a lot of different enemies. I believe there's 20 different enemies in the game, as well as 5 different dungeons that you have to fight. One thing I absolutely appreciate about Anguna is the difficulty curve. One thing I noticed about old school retro games, including new ones coming out, a lot of times they're super hard and really challenging. Don't get me wrong, I love a challenge, but sometimes it gets to the point where it's super frustrating. That's not the case with Anguna. Anguna is a game that it's a fair difficulty. It starts off challenging, of course, but it's not like cheap as far as when you play it. And what's also really awesome about Anguna is it has flash saving. So as long as there's no enemies on that particular screen, you go to the menu, you can save the game anytime you want. And if you do die, it starts you off at your last save. You do lose that experience that you had gained between the last saves, but you retain the various items you get, you retain your level status, and all that good stuff. Now, I did get to level 11 experience, and after that, it kind of filled my meter. I was not able to level up at that point. And it didn't take me very long to level up to experience 11, to be honest with you, because every screen, when you go back to that screen, it respawns. This is one of the first kind of guys you have to fight. This is like a gator or dragon you have to fight. I believe it's an alligator. And this actually took me a while to figure this guy out, the patterns. Just like other retro bosses, there's a pattern, and once you figure out the pattern, you gotta use the arrows. Overall, this game is a lot of fun. Here's kind of screens of various parts of the game, a lot of different enemies, and the enemies have their own various attacks as well. I think the music really fits very well with Anguna as well. There's a bee. They're kind of hard. You can't attack diagonally. Unfortunately, you have to attack left, right, up, down. So you kind of have to, when you do attack, you got to be prepared for that. Here's a particular dungeon area, and you can see that it's kind of dark. I believe later on you can get lights to kind of help you out, but by defeating every enemy on screen as well, it will unlock doors in certain cases. Go back to my point. You definitely want to make sure you destroy all the enemies on one screen. These spiders are fairly heavy as well. When you go to hit start, it shows you a map of where you've been, alright? You can save it, of course, shows you the different items. You can also check out different bosses that you showed up to that point. So there's 20 total in game, and I love the graphics they use here for the enemies. They show you the hit points, the damage. I mean, this is really cool. You can tell that they put a lot of hard work into Anguna, and that's pretty awesome. I believe at this point I've unlocked about 16 of the 20 various enemies in the game. I'm still continuing playing it because, like I said, there is some replay value because it makes you want to go back and get the items. The hardest part of the game for me is collecting the various keys, as I mentioned before. That can definitely get somewhat challenging finding the right key. Overall, I do recommend Anguna, and I'm really excited that this game is coming out. It is built for NTSC, but it will work on PAL consoles as well. These are a group of guys that came together. This is not their first rodeo when it comes to new games for the classic NES. These are Retrotainment Games, for example. They released Haunted Halloween series for the NES, which I love. It's a great beat 'em up game. You guys definitely should check that out. So this is not their first rodeo when coming to games. They're very experienced doing this, and I definitely can tell they put a lot of hard work into this game. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Please leave a comment below. Again, I'll put a link to the Kickstarter below in case you guys want to check it out. If it's already over with, I encourage you, I'll put a link to the website and check it out, see what other projects we're working on. We'll see you guys soon. Take care, and of course, game on.